Hello, this is Ben Ivey, the Fulfillment Artist, and today I've got some funny examples. They're quite ridiculous, but I think they're quite good, about explaining the differences between happiness and fulfillment, because I don't want you to confuse them. So, the first thing is, let's just share some examples to begin with. So, happiness is kind of like the shell of the egg, okay, the shell. Fulfillment is the yolk and the white and the inside. My next example is, you could see a great, really shiny computer. That would be happiness. The inside software is the fulfillment. And my last example is an avocado. An avocado, the outside is happiness, or the inside is happiness. You're confused. But the rock, the hard thing in the middle, the thing that is very, very difficult to break or damage, that's your fulfillment. So let me explain what I mean by this. Previously, I used to believe that we could be happy all the time. And what I meant by this is that you didn't have to experience any negative emotions. And so what I did is I became very advanced, for those of you who know my story, in neuro-linguistic programming, which is basically using different patterns and techniques to help you shift very quickly. And for myself, I realized that I could use these techniques to make myself not feel any negative emotions, which is great, because recently I had lost my father to suicide, and I didn't really know what to do with my life. And I really wanted to be happy all the time. So I started using these techniques, and boom, I was great. I was happy all the time. I was really good at this. However, I just felt empty. Have you ever experienced something like that, where you seem happy and everything's fine, but internally it was just something messy. I just didn't feel right. And I was living with a master NLP practitioner at the time, and he told me, like, Ben, you're happy all the time, but how much do you really feel? And what I realized was, I'll use the screen here because I like to be clever. If you imagine that this is neutral, we'll go for the middle, and that's happiness. I was experiencing this amount of emotion. What was happening is I was missing out on all of the negative emotion, but also the higher emotion as well. So what I realized was, instead of not feeling these negative emotions, I needed to feel them, but not to dwell in them. And that's a really important distinction to make. And sometimes it's quite difficult to wrap our heads around, because if you're feeling sad, how do you know not to just feel more sad as opposed to just switching it very quickly? And what I do is I allow myself to feel an emotion, and then I make a decision of, okay, do I want to carry on feeling this, or do I want to choose to do something different? Because at each moment there's a choice. And for me, that's been a fantastic way to sort of take control of my emotions. And what I realized was, most people aim for happiness. And that's great, but happiness is just one emotion, right? Excitement, adventurous, healthy and not coughing. I don't know, like whatever it is, just ways in which you can really just have an amazing time, like feeling loved, feeling cherished. There are so many other different feelings. We don't just have to focus on happiness. So how do we get this fulfillment from within, right? So as many of you know, I have 2-day courses, I have 1-day courses diving into fulfillment. But for you guys today, let me just share some of the core principles. The first thing is, in order to be fulfilled, you need to master your mind, right? You need to understand, okay, my mind is always looking for things that are wrong. It's built for survival. It's here to basically screw you up. I mean, it's a nice thing to have, the mind. So ultimately, you need to master your mind. If you master your mind, then you're not going to be feeling stressed and overwhelmed, because you understand how to direct your mind. And some people meditate, they watch the mind, there's different techniques. Ultimately, it's up to you to find what works. You need to master your mind. Next, for fulfillment, is you need to have love. You need to have love. It could be friends, it could be family, but ultimately, through a partner is where you're really going to feel that fulfillment from within, because you're going to have so much love towards them, right? If you haven't looked into the Grant study, fantastic study looking into love. Looking into happiness, and then their conclusion was the answer is love. Very, very fascinating. Next, you need to have a purpose. You need to have a mission, a purpose, and know where you're going towards. Because if you know that and you understand where you're going, it doesn't really matter what happens in different areas of your life because you know you're heading in the right direction. And that's really, really important to know. And the last thing is giving. So this is giving above and beyond yourself, helping more people, impacting people at a higher level. And that is really going to help you get that deep sense of fulfillment from within. An analogy that I often use is a picture. So let's imagine that most people's lives are a picture and it's in black and white. And they're just going through the motions. Now, these areas allow you to add more color to your life and you can add that tapestry. And as a fulfillment artist, a lot of what I do and my trainers do is to be able to, build that fulfillment from within so that you're not going on these stages of happy, 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 and then shit, and then happy, 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 and then not so good. So from this video, what I really want you to understand is that fulfillment is something that you can experience on a much more consistent basis. And, dive into it, really understand it for yourself. But what's most important is to develop those rituals and those habits that always keep you on track. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll speak to you very soon.